the copyright. Couldn't it be that the extension of the copyright towards more and more commercial users of it to software firms and so forth is a real problem?
Yeah.
Couldn't it be that one should go back and protecting indeed the creators, like the name says, authors' rights, and give the others sort of another type of right for protecting short-term investments? But because at the moment it is, to me anyway, it's a bit even a contradiction that what is being protected is market shares of existing large companies, and the average author doesn't really get a lot of it.
Yeah, that's a very difficult question to answer, because to what extent can you stop the development of creative expressions? Because basically what you're saying is that we should create a fence, and those that fall within the circle of that fence
The individual
creator. But that in itself will be defining what is, who sort of falls into that category. And already we see, and you're right, but I have my sense of it, and although I will agree, maybe the commercial, it's like the internet. At first it was something free, it was something fun, and now it's becoming something commercial, and for the big guys to basically run according to their own strategies. I see what you're saying. But at the same time, I tend to think that we're not playing with a closed box. Yeah. The value of the monies that are flowing to the cultural sector are not to be shared and evenly spread over a period of 10 years. I have witnessed my broadcasting system in Canada bringing, with a lot of success, more viewers, more private funding, more public funding, more channels, more diversity, out of a system that used to be able to fund one public and one private. This was 30 years ago. And no one has gone bankrupt. And we have more languages, more diversity than ever. So who was to say we're going to close the box there and we're going to define this is it and there's nothing else? There are hard times and there are better times. And overall, the cultural sector, as we know it, is creating more economic growth and better income. But it's true that because it's creating more growth and better income, it's attracting more participants in that market. The question then becomes, who is entitled to benefit when anyone can declare himself an artist? That's also something that we need never discuss. Who's an artist?
Can this be extended to developing countries?
The copyright regime?
This model we are just talking about.
Well, it can be certainly, because we now have the know-how to look at laws and regulation. What is missing, I think, in these countries is the institutional capacity, the governance structure, and the capacity to enforce, and to have the custom agent understand when blank tapes are coming in that is going to be illegal copies made from, and how do you seize the blank tapes or the blank CDs? So there needs to be in very, very undeveloped structures, you need the judicial system, you need the regulatory. So I think it's more in the implementation and in the strategic or regulatory policy structure.
Is that what basically this convention, the value of the convention is about?
I think the convention is both. It creates I've experienced something which I want to share with you. I was at the OAS, American State Minister of Cultures in Washington, D.C., 24 of them in a room. They were saying exactly the value of culture for them, the value for economic growth, the value for peace building, intercultural dialogue that we were seeing in Canada and maybe in Germany 20 years ago. They got it. It meant something for them, and I would not have to encourage them to say it. They believed in it. So the language and the concepts and all of that flows out of these concepts is there. It's in place now. So what is needed is the transfer of capacity according to the national context for each to be able to gradually move out and gradually implement according to. But the problem in a lot of these countries, they don't have the capacity. Plus there's an existing regime of access to the king, of access to the minister, of access to little pots of money that are hidden somewhere. And before an artist will speak on behalf of his group, not just on himself, to benefit from these collective rights and these collective measures, that is a true evolution, something that hopefully through coalitions, through associations, through dialogue with a larger group of peers, you will be able to achieve.
Is the influence of your coalitions on the governments and on the overall management of the convention strong enough at the moment? Do you see?
I think it is. I think for one thing, there's not a whole lot of civil society that is organized, that is really pushing, and we have now something which we have a leverage right now with this periodic report. Governments, 94 of them, 93 plus the EU, will have to be presenting what they have done in the last 4 years, but most importantly, what they could be doing the next 4 years, and the next 4 years, and the next 4 years. So hopefully, within the framework, there's a lot of very good objectives, very good, measures. It's for each country and for civil society to call upon its own government to engage with that government and say, where are we now? We know we have not been able to achieve everything in 3-4 years. Let's not kid ourselves. There's so much in this convention and so much to do for culture. But let's use this moment of dialogue to engage and look forward. And I think the coalitions, it varies from one country to the other, obviously. But in a lot of countries where cultural diversity means something, a lot of countries, I say this, I'm collecting, this is a private collection of mine. The EU calls itself, it has a slogan, unity in diversity.
You're right.
Right, yeah? Toronto is 353.5 million inhabitants, 50% of them from 200 countries. Same slogan, unity in diversity. South Africa, same slogan, university in diversity. Look at what Morocco has just done with its own constitution under pressure from the Arab Spring. Unity and diversity. They have given rights for the Amazigh minority groups, and they are creating institutions to promote through broadcasting and through cultural centers. So this unity through diversity is something that is catching on. Countries, not all of them. Let's look at Hungary. We can look at counterexamples. I completely agree. But overall, cities are looking to unity in diversity.
We are in the Compendium, we are having this intercultural city index, which is an interesting exercise to measure exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I met in the 2009 IFACA conference in Johannesburg in South Africa. I met people who openly said in the discussion, at first we thought this slogan and this whole notion of cultural diversity is actually a trick of the old apartheid people trying to come back to that, and you couldn't even blame them.
No. But to that, the answer to that, and that maybe that should be the closing statement for me. Maybe you have other statements. Diversity is a very powerful and very open concept in societies where women and men don't have equal rights. That is the diversity that needs to be achieved.
Right.
In countries where the old artists, the established creators that have access to the king, don't leave any room for the younger artists, for the newer forms of culture and expression. We're in India. What about contemporary dancers in India, where it's all about traditional dance? That is the kind of diversity that India should be talking about. There should be diversity between region and center. There's all sorts of diversity, and it's for each country and each people to look at the concept. But I think it's a very powerful and I haven't met anyone that says, I don't want to hear about diversity. This is, so wrong. I haven't never met any private corporation, any state official, any non-profit organization that would be, it's a fundamental democratic principle.
Thank you.
Yeah.